Hey, look at me, I'm reviewing pens. Hi everybody, today I am going to be taking a look at the Sharpie S-Note Creative Markers. Now they're meant to be markers, they're chisel tip, but they're also highlighters, sort of. So what I actually did was some research ahead of time, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these on their own and their merits, and then I'm going to compare them to Zebra Mildliners, because there are some color comparisons that are the same, and there are some that are not. So this will be kind of a combination review and comparison video. So these are the Sharpie S-Note Creative Markers. This is a 24 pack. They sell 12 packs and 24 packs, and 24 is the maximum colors that they have right now. I got these on Amazon and they cost me $16.99 for the 24 pack. Compared to Mildliners, the 25 pack is $37.99 on Amazon or $30 at Target. And then the 15 set is $16.99 at Target. So basically these are cheaper than the Mildliners. Now, speaking of cheaper, one of the things I noticed about them right off the bat is that they feel super cheap. They feel like a Sharpie ultrafine marker, that like kind of light, even a little bit lighter than that. Like the plastic feels very cheap. They're very light. They've just got that kind of cheap feeling. So if that matters to you, it's going to really matter to you. These guys do not have like a very weighty feeling in the hand. And then they have a very similar shape to a standard Sharpie with the little ridge here, although they're also a little bit shorter than a Sharpie. When it comes to comfort level while holding them though, as long as you can avoid this little ridge spot on your callus, then they're pretty fine. Now they're a chisel tip, meaning that they say you can get like a fat line or you can get a skinny line with them. I would say that one of the things that the Mildliners do have on these guys is that they have the two different tips. They have the chisel tip on one side and the bullet tip on the other. But with these Sharpie guys, you can get a fat line and you can get a thin line if you want to. One thing I will say is that the tip itself is not very rigid. It has a certain amount of flexibility to it. Not enough to be able to use it as like a brush pen or anything like that. But like as a heavy-handed person, I definitely felt it. So it makes me wonder with use how quickly they'll wear out. I don't have those ideas right because these are new. I only just got them. But I will definitely keep an eye out because I love the colors, as you're going to see. You know, a lot of highlighters, especially the Mildliners, they're actual chisel tip. The tip itself is very stiff. This one is not. This one is a little bit more flaccid. Not enough to change how the line looks, but enough to make me wonder whether or not it will wear down really quickly over time. Only quote-unquote claim these things have, besides the versatile 2-in-1 tip, is that they're supposed to be bleed-proof ink. I don't believe that, especially if you look at this paper. This is my, what is this? My mnemnicine. I don't fucking know how to pronounce that thing. So yeah, it's bleeding through there, but I'm going to grab out my Leuchtturm really quick, my bullet journal, to check the bleed out here. And I'm just going to go with the dark gray because this is one of the darkest colors. Oh yeah. Oh, it super bleeds in the Leuchtturm. Now we'll grab the dark gray color from the Mildliners as like a combination, like a comparison in terms of bleed through. And I would say the Sharpie bleeds more than the Mildliners. The Sharpie like actually bleeds through right here, and the Mildliner barely bleeds through right there. I do want to check them with different kinds of pens. So what am I going to grab? I'm going to grab a Pitt Artist pen, which is a waterproof pen. So that's one thing to look at. A Tombow Mono Drawing pen, which is a water-based ink marker. I've got a pencil here. I've got a Uniball Signo gel pen. So we're going to look at all of these guys here, how they bleed with the highlighter. And I'm going to do them next to each other too so that we can test comparison to the Mildliners. So we'll do Sharpies on the left and Mildliners on the right. It looks like none of the Sharpie ones smeared at all, and the gel pen smeared with the Mildliner. Now that may not be the same for every single pen. I'm not going to test every single pen that I own with these, but smearing wise so far, it looks like the Sharpies are doing really well. The next thing I'm going to do is a quick color swatch so you can see all the different colors that there are. And then once I've done the color swatch, I'm going to show you the Mildliner colors that match with each of those colors. So here is the entire color family here. And I'm going to say, for one, I'm a little biased because I love Sharpies. I've used Sharpies on the regular basis, including the colorful Sharpies when I worked as a sign artist at Trader Joe's. Used them all the time. And there were certain colors I absolutely loved, and I can see parallel colors in this set. Orchid, for example, was one of my favorite. Like, I think it was called Berry, but that color kind of area in Sharpies I love. Pear, Surf's Up, Jade, a lot of these colors are gorgeous to me. I love this color range, and I think that it is a phenomenal color range, and I think it's heavily strong in the cooler colors, the greens, the blues, the purples. The warmer colors maybe not quite so strong. There's 5 different sets of Mildliners that you can buy. You can get the 25 pack, or you can buy the individual sets, and I want to show you the individual sets because this may give you some idea of some of the overlap, because there is at least one set that doesn't have any matches in here, and that is the fluorescent set. This particular set, which is arguably the most quote-unquote traditional highlighter set. All of these have that like fluorescent look to them, and not a single one of this Sharpie Creative Markers set has this kind of a fluorescent look. And so if those are the kinds of highlighters you're wanting, this S-Note set is definitely not for you. This Mildliner set with the second least amount of overlap is the Bright set, which is one of the newest sets. I'm saying the word set a whole awful lot. It's fuchsia, lavender, summer green, citrus green, and marigold. And of all of these, the 2 that are the most similar to another color in here are the citrus green and the summer green. These 3 colors don't really have a comparable sort of color. There are some similarities in tone, but not in saturation. These are a lot brighter, and these actually would complement a lot of these other colors. As for the citrus green, it is the most comparable to Limeade. They're not perfect. You look at that, it's not a perfect match, but it's very close. And then the summer green is the most comparable to Jade. Then the next set that has 3 out of the 5 comparable here is the Deep and Warm set, which has never been my favorite Mildliner set, to be honest. That's the one with smoke blue, magenta, brown, gold, and vermilion. And out of all of these colors, I like these 2. I'm okay with the vermilion, but this has just never been my favorite set. But of this set, 2 of them do not really have comparable colors, and that is vermilion and smoke blue. I thought smoke blue would be similar, but it's just so kind of like a gray kind of color to it. It just doesn't have a match. And as for the vermilion, I thought it would be very similar to the brick red when I was thinking about it, but it's a little too orange for that. I feel like this, out of all of the colors, vermilion is one that would fit really nicely in this mix where there's something missing. Now, the 3 colors that do have something very comparable are the magenta, which is very comparable to the raspberry, just a little bit more saturated. The brown, which is comparable to the cinnamon. Brown is a little bit more saturated and a little bit cooler, but they're very similar to each other. And then the gold, which is very similar to the lemonade. Yeah, the next set we have is the Friendly set. And this one, I noticed that there were comparable colors to all of them except for one, the coral pink, which again goes back to how there are some missing colors in here. Coral pink and guava have some similarities to them, but not close enough for me to really call it. The dark gray color is similar, just more saturated to the gray. The apricot color is very, very similar, probably one of the most similar to the mango. The cyan color is very similar to scuba blue. The lemon yellow color and the gold are both kind of similar to the lemonade, but I would say of the 2 of them, I would go with the gold first. So the lemon yellow is kind of a toss-up. There really isn't a super bright yellow in this pack. So I would go with maybe 3, maybe 4 of the Friendlies. But then there is finally the Cool and Refined set. And much like I said, how the cool colors are super represented here, all 5 of these have a close match within the Mildliners. We have the gray, which matches the light gray, just being slightly warmer toned. We have the violet, which matches the lavender almost perfectly. We have the red, which is a very close match to the brick red. The brick red's just a little bit more brown. Green, which is very, very close to the pear. We have the dark blue, which is very close to the indigo. Indigo's a little bit more purple. And so here is your your look at it. If you already are in possession of all 5 packs of the Mildliners, then you can look here at the comparison to let you know, is it worth it to you? Are these colors that don't have any close matches at all worth it to you? And are the differences between the close matches and the actual colors, is it worth it to you to buy the other set, or is it not? If you haven't bought Mildliners yet and the price has been holding you back, this may give you an idea of whether or not you want to spend the money on the Sharpies instead. You don't get the second tip with the Sharpies. Honestly, I don't use that tip very often, and as you can see, it gets really beaten up over time. So we'll see. In terms of quality, I guess I'll have to let you know in the future how they look. I love these Sharpies. I'm going to be hanging on to them and using them. I think that they look great. And then on this paper, at least, if you want to see bleed through, the one thing the Mildliners definitely have on these Sharpies is that these Sharpies do seem to bleed through a lot more, and the Mildliners do not. So when it comes to bleed through, the Sharpies will be a little juicier. Overall, I think these Sharpies are great. They feel kind of cheap, but then again, they are kind of cheap. So there is that. If you have the Mildliners, these are most definitely a bonus rather than something brand new to your collection. And vice versa. I would love to hear from you in the comments, other pens, markers you'd like me to take a look at. I would love to do a highlighter Thunderdome at some point when I'm starting to feel better. I'm still really trying to ramp back up into producing more videos, so it would be a while. I do have at least one more set of pens. I've got the Zebra Click situation. What are they called? The Zebra Click Art. I've got these pens that I'm going to be taking a look at maybe next week, maybe in a couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're all staying safe, washing your hands, etc., etc. Let me know what you want to see and what you think of these Sharpie pens and if they might replace the Mildliners for you. And until next time, my dudes, peace out.